up, you guys? Welcome to the video. Thank you so much for clicking on it. It means a lot to me. A little bit of an update before we get into the video. So the first thing that I want to let you guys know is if you do like these videos and you're like, man, that chat looks really cool, it would be cool to be there when this is being recorded. I would love to have you. So if you want to click on the first link down in the description, that's going to be to my Twitch channel, and you can be there when I record these, which I would love to have you because we have a great time on chat. When I normally stream is 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So that's when I am normally streaming. I'd love to have you there. Also, for those of you guys that have been commenting saying that you missed the vlogs, I have actually been vlogging as well on my second channel, which will be linked down in the description down below. I've been sharing my triathlon training, doing shoe reviews, tons of different stuff. So if you do like the vlogs, those will be down there as well. Thank you so much. I'd love to see you at both of those places, but if you don't want to go, I understand. Enjoy the video. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, today we have a video. This was sent into my Discord, so if you haven't joined my Discord, I highly recommend. We have over 10,000 people in there. But this is also a question that I get asked quite a bit. So today we're going to be talking about the video that was from Athlean X, which, if you're not familiar, I mean, Jeff Cavaliere is a huge YouTuber. He has over 11 million subscribers. That's so many freaking subscribers. And that's what he talks about. Today he is talking about you can't build muscle and burn fat at the same time. And so he's talking about the age-old question, can you lose fat, build muscle at the same time? Let's hear what Jeff has to say.
Anyone with half a brain knows you can't build muscle and burn fat at the same time.
Is that Professor Dickweed again?
That was a dad joke right there.
What's up, guys? You're Cavaliere, AthleanX.com.
And Jesse, AthleanX.com. Yes, I'm still doing that.
What is with the winter hat? It's snowing outside, not in here.
I'm still cold. Leave me alone.
Also, that hat's sick, man. What the heck?
Today we're answering another one of your questions. It's an Ask Jeff. And Jesse, what do we got for Ask Jeff?
All right, coming from Wayne Beckett. Jeff, why would you say that you can build muscle and burn fat at the same time when everyone with half a brain knows that you can't, with 2 question marks?
Gee, any exclamation points in there? That was a little angry.
I'm surprised there's not.
Jeez, Wayne, listen, Wayne, hey, calm down. All right, okay, listen, I have a respect for all of my viewers' questions, so I'm going to respectfully answer the question, but I'm going to tell you in advance I might get a little heated here, because this is something I've been pretty passionate about, I think for about a decade.
10 years, right?
Yeah, this is related to bulking and cutting, and I've actually talked about this many times on this channel. Here's me back in my basement, Angry Jeff.
So, for those of you guys that might not be familiar, and I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the most familiar with Jeff's content. I used to watch it quite a bit back in the day, and I've gone through like phases of watching it, but I know that Jeff himself has always really preached that it's not super necessary to like go on really intense bulk and cut sessions, or like going through those things for like regular athletes, right? Not enhanced athletes. And I know that that's something that he has preached for a long time, which for most of like fitness YouTube, it's always been about bulking and cutting, especially in the beginning of fitness YouTube. Like if you guys watch like Chris Jones back in the day, or like the Hodge twins, like really far back YouTube, they were all about like cutting and bulking. And you know, that is, you certainly, there's no, I don't know if Jeff disputes this, but there is definitely, like you definitely can, like cutting and bulking works, right? But it's pretty difficult, and a lot of people really struggle with maybe bulking too hard, maybe cutting too hard, and if you do both of those off, you're not going to end up gaining that much muscle, right? So it works, but you have to be on point with it, right? Okay, sorry.
Just screaming about bulking and cutting then? Well, guess what? My opinion hasn't changed in the 10 years, but I think it bears repeating because this is a common question, and we need to make sure that it gets addressed in a real thorough way, all right? So that everybody understands what we're talking about. Where this comes from is the fact that many people hold the belief that these two things, these two goals, are too much opposed from each other to actually be able to be achieved together.
Right.
If you want to build muscle, they'll say you need to be in a calorie surplus.
Right.
If you want to burn fat, it's said that you need to be in a calorie
deficit. I know that one.
It's starting to rub off on you, Jesse. You're getting good. That's actually not true. Yes, you do need to be in a calorie deficit in order to burn fat.
Right.
In order to build muscle, you don't have to be in a consumed calorie surplus. There's a big difference. Our body is smart. We have ways to actually produce energy and create an energy surplus without having to take them into the consumption of food and calories. That means, thankfully so, we can tap into our own body stores of body fat in order to create the energy needed to support new muscle mass and muscle growth. Right. That's a good thing, because if you think about what the goal was in the first place, building muscle and burning fat, obviously if that is something you're looking to achieve, you likely have body fat to burn.
Unlike you.
Unless it's me, but the good news is I'm not looking to do that, because yes, it
Yeah, dude, freaking Jeff is so freaking lean, it's ridiculous.
becomes way more challenging the lower level of body fat you get down to. If you have very low levels of body fat, you don't have the luxury of being able to tap into those stores to do that. And what happens then is your body starts to tap into muscle, because muscle is also willing to provide the energy needed to do other things in the body, but it's not going to be very helpful to break muscle down in the goal of trying to build new muscle.
No,
So with this, basically kind of what he's saying, so this is like, and maybe I'm wrong, but from what I'm understanding, I'm just a normal guy. From what I'm understanding is basically the leaner you are, the harder this is to do. Okay, so the leaner you are, the harder it is to add muscle and burn fat at the same time, which I would say I agree with. The bigger you are, the more body fat that you have, the easier it is to, yes, burn fat, but also gain muscle. Because again, remember, fat and muscle are not the same thing. They're in your body, but like you don't, a lot of people, and I know that some of you guys are like, no one thinks that. I'm telling you, people think this, okay? A lot of people think you turn fat into muscle. That's not what you do, okay? So you build muscle that's there, you build upon it, and you lose the fat that's there. You're not converting fat into muscle. So if you have more fat to lose, you can continue to lift. That's why I'm a fan of lifting while you're losing weight. You can continue to lift and maybe gain a little bit of muscle and still lose the fat that you have. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and say I have like the perfect science to it, but I I was able to do that for sure. Like I've only ever bulked one time in my the entire time I've been lifting. I bulked once for my physique show. Other than that, I would be what I call like gaintaining, or like kind of just like maintaining while also gaining size. So like I personally have done this, not by even trying really. So like I agree with this. Like you don't have to think I have to gain, I have to eat more, I have to eat more, I have to eat more if you want to gain muscle, especially if you're a larger person that's trying to lose weight. Okay.
Bad, right? That'll be bad. So we don't want to do that. What that requires, though, that we focus on the intake side first, okay? And we make sure we don't make some big mistakes. When we're talking about the intake, though I said it wasn't about the consumed calories you take in, you still have to focus on how you're consuming what you're consuming. And the first thing I would caution you is not to get too aggressive in the deficit that you're trying to create in terms of the calories you take in on a given day. Okay.
Yeah, facts. I agree with that. The higher of a caloric deficit you're in, the harder it is going to be to gain muscle. So if you are in like 1,000 calorie deficit, it's going to be very, very difficult. But if you are slowly putting that deficit in, say it's like 200, 300 calories a day of a deficit, I think it's going to be much easier to gain muscle than if you are 1,000 calorie per day deficit, right?
But if you take in too few calories in the pursuit of trying to make this happen fast, and I'm going to talk about fast versus sustainable in a little bit here. If you try to make this happen too fast, you slow the whole process down to the point where it actually doesn't even work anymore. So what you want to make sure is you don't try to exceed anything higher than 10, 12, let's say a top end of 15% of a deficit from whatever your maintenance level of calories is right now to achieve this.
So I like that he brought up percentages, because that's really, really important. So because a lot of people, I get the question all the time, how much of a caloric deficit should I be in? How many calories should I eat? And the answer is always, it depends on your size. It depends on how much weight you have to lose. Like someone that is 400 pounds is going to require and will be able to eat a lot more calories than someone that is 200 pounds that's trying to lose weight. And then, so that person there, if they're 400 pounds and say your TDE, your total daily energy expenditure, the amount of calories you need to just, stay at your maintenance level, say it's 4,000 calories, for them, 10% of that is 400 calories, right? And so they can even be at a higher deficit, like as far as like a caloric deficit, they can be at a higher deficit and still do this, what we're talking about here, than someone that might be, 180 pounds that's trying to do the same thing. So it really depends on the size of the person. That's why percentages here are really, really helpful.
And we said it's not going to work.
No, that's bad.
It's cutting into muscle to try to build muscle is not where we want to be. One of the fat storage is where we're using and utilizing to energize this process. The second thing you're going to want to do from the intake side, you're going to want to make sure that you're eating enough protein. Because many studies will show you that eating enough protein is going to be required to make this process work.
Oh, I know this. It's 1 gram of protein for every 1 pound of body weight.
A lot of people will say that. It's actually not true. The good news is you don't have to have that much, actually.
Really?
No, you really don't. Studies will show that 0.8 grams will do the job all the time. And some people even suggest as low as 0.6. I'm not necessarily one that goes that low, but I will say 0.8 is something that could be done. And there's a big difference between 0.8 and 1.
But why is it 1?
Honestly, I think it's just because people round up.
Well, it's easier for people like me.
For you, yeah. They make it Jesse proof by just saying, just do 1 instead of 0.8.
And another way that I've seen this explained really well, which I personally agree with, is instead of just looking at body weight in general, look at lean body mass. So instead of being like, because if you're 400 pounds and you're trying to eat 1 pound, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, that's 400 freaking grams of protein, right? And if you're doing the 0.8, that's still, I don't know, at least 300 grams, right? And so imagine that. So that's why I like doing lean body mass. So if you do like one gram per pound of lean body mass, for me, it'd probably be like 180 grams of protein if I were to do that, right? Which is about what I eat right now. Maybe a little bit less than that.
But we know that the difference between 0.8, or some of us know, the difference between 0.8 and 1 is 20%. And 20%, if you don't realize how big that actually is in your total protein intake in a day, think about it over the course of a month. And think about paying for 20% more protein over the course of a month. We know how expensive protein can be in whatever form you eat it.
Yeah, someone just said that would be an insane amount of protein at 400 grams. Dude, the reason that I say that is because when I first got into macros and calories, I tried to help a friend. It wasn't me, but I tried to help a friend of mine lose weight, and they were a bigger person, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to help. They saw me lose weight, and I was learning about macros. I was like, cool, I'll be able to help you. And I ended up being like, yeah, 300 grams of protein. That's what you need to eat. It was just like, oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big grocery bill right
It's
there.
a big savings. The third thing I want you to focus on in order to do this right is you need to increase the quality of the nutrition that you put in your body.
Yes, of course.
Because what it does is two things. As you increase the quality of what you eat, the nutrient density goes up. In other words, more productive food. Foods that can actually provide your body with vitamins and minerals to accelerate the processes to do what it is you're looking to accomplish, which in this case is burn fat and build muscle. The second thing is by increasing the nutrient quality here and the quality of the foods you eat, they actually usually become calorically less dense. So that allows you to actually take in more food and still be on that lower side of the calories in that 10, 12, 15% range.
So I love that he brings this up. So basically what he's saying here is, one, like, eating quality food is like, I'm never going to be like, that's ridiculous. Like, because a lot of people that are really, really into calories in, calories out, they're like, it doesn't matter. Whatever, you can eat anything you want and lose weight. And I agree, you definitely can. But if you're trying to do this, right, building muscle and lose weight, one, that's definitely should be eating, more quality foods. But also kind of what he was saying there is, when you have more quality, less calorically dense food, so you're not eating Pop-Tarts, but instead you're eating quote unquote clean things, you have the volume of food that you are eating is now bigger because the things aren't super calorically dense. So you will feel less hungry, and it will be easier for you to maintain that diet or those calories, right? If you're eating really calorically dense foods, you're gonna feel hungrier. That's just how it is, right? Because you're not filling your stomach up as much as if you were to have, a huge plate of like broccoli and rice and chicken or whatever it is that you choose. I think this is something that a lot of people miss when they get really focused on just the calories. It's like the quality of the calories matters, not just because it's like, oh, if you're eating a Pop-Tart, you're gonna, die. No, absolutely not. You can have a Pop-Tart for sure. But you will feel more in control, I guess is the best way to explain it, if you are eating those lower calorically dense foods.
To accomplish this a little bit easier, you still get to enjoy the foods you have too. So that means less of the kind of bullshit gummy bears and sugary crap that somebody used to eat.
Yeah, that is all a bunch of bullshit. By the way, what's Daisy doing over there?
Daisy? What is Daisy doing?
I don't know. She's
Oh, you're impossible.
What?
You're impossible. Daisy's right there, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so cute.
Now, the next thing is the training side of it. So now, we know that from the training standpoint, there's two things we could do in terms of training. We could focus on conditioning and cardio, or we could focus on resistance training. Focus on resistance training. As a matter of fact, that is one of the non-negotiables here. You have to resistance train in some form. And I say resistance because it doesn't have to be in the form of weights, although I would highly encourage you to do that. But bodyweight training would work. Band training would work.
Oh, water aerobics with Nana down at the Y.
Do you do that?
Maybe.
Water aerobics with Nana down at the Y, with Jesse's Nana down at the Y. However you want to do it, guys, some form of resistance training is necessary because that's what sparks the whole desire for your muscles to actually come back and grow back bigger and stronger.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty obvious stuff, right? Like if you want to gain muscle, you can't just eat the right foods. Like you have to actually put in the work too, right? And again, like I like that he says it doesn't have to be like going to the gym and freaking doing like an Arnold Schwarzenegger split or something like that. There are tons of different ways that you can do it. If you are at home and you only have bands, you could certainly make progress there. If you only have a couple weights, if you're only doing body weight, like you can make things work. It might be a little bit more difficult, and especially if it's just body weight, it might take a little bit more time. But it's still possible.
If you don't provide the stimulus, this whole thing goes out the window. There's no build muscle portion of the build muscle and burn fat. I will give you this other revelation that may shock some of you. The conditioning part of it and the cardio part of it is completely unnecessary to achieve that goal. Really. Now, I'm going to follow that right up with, if you want to be a normal functioning person with a healthy heart, which all of us should aspire to be, then you should be doing conditioning and cardio. I'm just saying,
Facts. I agree with that 100%.
you can actually achieve this all through nutritional changes alone and creating that deficit. But it's going to be a lot more effective and it's going to be a lot easier for you to do this if you incorporate some of the conditioning and cardio as well.
This is why I say weight loss happens in the kitchen, fitness happens in the gym, right? Because if you are trying to lose weight, the most important thing is what you're eating. By far, bar none, what you are eating is the most important thing. And then what you're doing in the gym, it can help. And like if you are actually doing cardio and you're doing it consistently, you will be able to eat more while still being in a deficit. So that will make losing weight probably easier for you. Now there is a caveat here, and I'm not sure if he brings this up, but like once you start overdoing it and you're doing like hours upon hours upon hours of cardio and it's making you like ravenously hungry, that really actually can end up making it a little bit harder to lose weight. There's a lot of people that like do a lot of runs that like they really struggle to lose weight because after they finish a run, they're so unbelievably hungry that they end up eating a ton of food. So like there can be too much of a good thing. I really do believe that. But I think adding in cardio, while it's not necessary, is certainly something that is super, super helpful.
I'm gonna go back to that example of 3,000 calories.
Okay.
Here's the problem that happens when you try to just do it through cutting your food intake.
Right.
If I were to take 500 calories out, let's say we've already made the changes to increase the quality of stuff that we're eating. If I take 500 calories out of the equation, that's 500 calories of nutrient-dense, high-quality food, right? Now, I have an alternative to do something different. If I do, let's say, 300 calories that I take away, but then I burn 200 additional calories doing some type of conditioning, right? What's happened to the extra 200 calories?
You get those nutrients back
No,
in your system.
I didn't have to take them out, so I have them. 200 calories is a lot.
Yeah.
200 calories, if you did it in strictly protein at 4 calories per gram, is actually 50 grams of protein.
That's a lot of protein.
And we consider that you only need, again, that 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, that's going to add up very quickly.
Yeah.
So you're going to become a lot less likely to walk that thin line between burning fat and sort of tapping into muscle stores in order to achieve your goal of building new muscle. So the holy grail here is really trying to find the balance between the two. And realize also, as you build more muscle, that number is going to go up. Your caloric maintenance level is going to go up because sustaining new active muscle tissue is going to require more calories on a given basis.
So basically what he's saying here, which is what I agree with, is the more muscle that you have, the more calories you can eat. And so like a lot of people ask me, like, how are you able to eat, the amount of calories that I eat? And a big part of it is because I weigh 215 pounds, and obviously there's fat there, but like a lot of it is muscle. So because I weigh so much, I am able to eat more, right? And so that just in and of itself helps me maintain my current weight because I'm able to eat a pretty good amount of food and not worry about gaining weight because I have this muscle. So that's why I personally am always going to be a fan of people lifting or trying to put on muscle as they are losing weight, because it only serves to help you in the long run. Like the more muscle you have, the more calories you can consume daily, the less chances of you gaining that weight back because you don't have that muscle.
You can actually start to upwardly adapt this number as you start to make changes to build muscle at the same time. Here's the recap. Weighing, it can be done. Weighing, it can 100% be done. Weighing, yes, it's likely going to take more time than a successful Vulcan cut. I use the word successful because that's the key word here, because for every successful person that makes it through a Vulcan cut, there are millions?
It's a lot of people.
Millions of people that don't make it through a successful Vulcan cut because they get into the bulk, and what happened is they never learned the key requirements of realizing what good nutrition is and how to be dedicated to good nutrition and how to remain consistent with your training. That makes this a sustainable long-term lifestyle change. That makes this something that once you incorporate it, like I did back in my teens, it's something you're still doing and living every single day, almost as second nature, because it's part of your life.
This is good stuff. Like I personally believe that this is really good information. I think that you guys know that my favorite word is sustainability, and like this is why I tell people, like, find something you enjoy doing. Whatever that is, if it gets you moving. Like people are like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? I'm almost always going to be like, if it gets you moving, I'm going to be a fan of it. I promise you. I will always be a fan of it. Unless it's something really dangerous or crazy, right? So like I am always a fan of anything that gets you moving, right? And so like that's when it becomes a healthy, sustainable lifestyle thing, instead of this thing that you're like forcing yourself to do because you feel like it's necessary.
The Vulcan Cut Cycle, though it may happen faster, if you do it successfully, is not going to be a sustainable approach for many. And what happens is, I've mentioned this before, and I'm not accusing you, Wayne, I'm just throwing it out there, is you start to adopt something called the big guy lie. Remember that?
I think so.
The big guy lie is the guy who starts off wanting to build muscle and burn fat, and then when he starts his bulk and never gets out of it, it's that perpetual bulk, he then all of a sudden says, you know what, being ripped doesn't really matter, having abs is overrated, just being big and strong and being able to lift things is really the only important thing in the world. That's the big guy lie. Because we know that wasn't your original goal. You would have liked to have done it. And I'm telling you, you could do it. You can still do it if you're willing to put in a little bit more time to get there. I promise you guys, this will work. My stance has not changed in 10 years. It won't change 10 years from now. It's going to work if you're willing to put the work in slowly but surely. That being said, guys, I want to answer your next question.
So, I mean, all in all, I think that this was a really, really good video. And I think that this is like stuff that should be, more people should have access to and know, because I think like so many people have gotten caught up. And again, like I said, it's not like it doesn't work. Bulking and cutting can work if you do it correctly, but it's really, really difficult. And this, I feel like, is a lot more sustainable for the vast majority of people. And I think that this is all really, really good information. So, I mean, all in all, I think that it was a great video.